Hallo miteinander, I'm Gacha86, and this is Touhou Koukishin. Last time, we did indeed find a monster, but it wasn't our monster. Its alibi was as rock hard as the projectiles it was firing. Now we've got some business at the Hakurei shrine. First, let's inspect the old rickety cabin. If you watch closely, you can spot a donation box, but let's be all Scrooge McDuck and innocently pretend as if we didn't. Of course, our real reason to be here is to question Reimu about the ongoing events. Ah yes, Reimu Hakurei, the #1 incident solver, the main protagonist of Touhou in general. Any fangame that doesn't have her playable or gives her any kind of significance kind of has to justify that. Sometimes the incidents could be seen as too small time for her, but not here. In Touhou Koukishin, the whole human village is in full panic mode. You would think with her being a human as well, she would greatly care about their well-being. Doesn't seem like it. What could be the cause for her inaction? Well, maybe she is our monster. Yeah, that would explain everything. But honestly, that is most unlikely. She will tell us the true reason in a second. Oh, it didn't affect her. Well, that's just swell. And thank you for giving us permission to solve our own problems. Yes, everyone, Reimu Hakurei, the hero of the land, the shrine maiden of paradise, a lazy bum when you need her the most. Despite Reimu not making the best impression here, she is good for something at least. We receive a brand new newspaper article from her. She was about to burn it, but Sakuya showed some quick thinking and stopped her from it in time. This is the 8th and actually very final newspaper in the game. As always, you will find a screenshot of it in the forums. With that on hand, the upcoming conversation with Patchouli will likely make a lot more sense to you, in case it doesn't already. All throughout our search, we found so many good leads, but in the end none of them really amounted to much. Thanks to that newspaper and a bit of detective work between Sakuya and Patchouli, we find out about a brand new location, a very promising one, the Geyser Field. It turns out that we simply didn't recognize that the red mist was coming from there, but now we were finally able to put 2 and 2 together. Sorry to go off track here, but Patchouli's mouth is extremely triangular in that particular artwork. It greatly amuses me. Isn't that something that is attributed to Luna Child usually? I think Patchouli would get very upset if we compared her to any kind of fairy. Well, now that we have a clue on what to do again, we could be heading to said Geyser Field. There's something that I've promised you a few episodes ago. Something at Korindo that I have avoided until now. It is the item gachapon, this machine right here. It is a feature that's only been added with the big content patch 1.30. And it is basically a surprise vendor, or gambler if you want, something that is fairly common in Diablo-esque RPGs. You blindly spend money on it, and you get something for it. It may be incredibly good, or completely worthless. It is actually a really cool addition, because before, it felt like there was actually very little you could spend your money on in Touhou Koukishin. So why was I so hesitant about this? Well, when the gachapon first appears right after clearing the archives, you can already get items of endgame quality from it. Like the blooming world we just got. That is the best weapon you can have before postgame. And that Scarlet Heart Diamond, best accessory. That only leaves the armor slot. And guess what? Made Uniform of the Moon, best one. That is a jackpot if I ever had one. These amazing items are not as unlikely to get as you might think, and one use of the item gachapon is only 10,000 coins right now. It'll get more expensive later on. You know, we may have all of that stuff right now, but let's hold off on equipping it because seriously, we would feel crazy overpowered if we did. Let us keep the upcoming levels reasonably challenging. The Serpent's Fang we got though, that one is perfectly okay, and quite a special find. More on that later. This episode has really been lacking in action so far, hasn't it? Let's correct that and finally go to the geyser field. One very important thing at this point, before you play the stage for yourself, make sure you're free for roughly the next hour. Why? Well, this video is obviously not an hour long, but you're going to have to play the next couple of stages in direct succession. If you return to the map screen from your pause menu at any point before you're automatically sent back there, you're going to forfeit your progress. Sure, you'll keep experience, money and equipment, but still, you're going to have to replay a lot. That includes any possibly tough bosses that we may come across, and redoing those would be annoying. Now, when the stage started, you might have noticed that we've been using a very strange technique, one that doesn't seem to be fitting Sakuya at all. This one right here. It's called Iwakiba Mountains, and nope, you did not miss the point in time when we learned that. You do not get this one from a level up, instead it is a so-called weapon unique skill. You can only select these skills if you happen to be wearing the special weapon that they are linked to. In our case, that's the Serpent's Fang we got from the item gachapon. Weapon unique skills are a pretty cool design choice, I find. It turns a weapon into something special and perhaps worthwhile, even if it's not the best stat-wise. Here's a nice spot for a lookout. You know, this place would be a lot more idyllic if there weren't all these weird skull-shaped fumes rising up. But that is the geyser field for you. About the significance of this place for the Touhou verse, the geyser field first actively appeared in Touhou 12.3, but it already received a mention in the story of Touhou 11 Subterranean Animism. The sudden appearance of the geyser was the main premise of that game, leading Gensokians to believe that something was amiss underground. You wouldn't visit the place itself during Touhou 11 though. Stage 1 already put you into the tunnel system leading to the underground kingdom. What's a little bit amusing about the geyser field is that both in canon and fandom, it is viewed as a hot spring and may therefore be turned into a holiday resort for the characters. Now, with all those mean critters longing to give us a bruising, it's not all that relaxing now, is it? That is why I called it an unhealth spa at the end of the last episode. And here I go explaining my own inside joke that I thought I was so clever for making. I guess that's what I do. Hey, at least we are doing alright on our hit counter. 150 already. Another thing I've noticed about the geyser field is that I tend to have my highest combos during it. Yeah, I remember cracking the 300 a good few times here, and I think there are several reasons for that. For once, the enemy density around here is pretty high. It is also not a gimmicky stage at all. It may also have a lot to do with me going so wild with our newly learned spell, Soul Sculpture. Like so. Yes, Soul Sculpture is indeed quite amazing at beefing up your combo. Any enemy that gets caught in its radius will be hit a whole 10 times. Killing Doll, on the other hand, only hits each enemy twice. Nevertheless, it looks like the 300 hits will not crumble this time, unfortunately. It was one of those cheeky Lancer dolls again that broke our stride. That is so typical for those. Of course, let's not reduce Soul Sculpture to being a move that is only used for making high combos. It is much more. We already used it against the Mishaguji last time, as it's primarily a boss killer. Yeah, we did do that, it was only very hard to tell, as Sakuya's model was always graphically absorbed by the Mishagujis whenever we triggered that spell. Soul Sculpture may remind you strongly of Wound Sign, and that is because it's basically its evolution. The differences are higher power, longer reach, further spread, and it is red instead of blue. The latter difference is purely cosmetic. In case you like blue more than red, Please don't let that affect your choices of which of them to use. Come on, be more pragmatic. This corner of the map is a dead end, by the way, but one that is worth going into in my opinion. It helps to leave some of the fairies alive for the way back, just so that you have a chance to hold on to your combo. Now, we had talked about the weapon unique skills as well as the Serpent's Fang before. Let us quickly wrap that up. There are a few more of these special weapons that come with their own skills, and there is a good chance that we may not get them before they've already become outdated. I'm thinking of perhaps packaging some of them in a special bonus episode at the end of the Let's Play, if it's at all possible. For now, let me tell you something about a very special property of the weapon unique skills. A lot of them are themed after characters appearing in the game. For example, the Iwakiba Mountains of the Serpent's Fang belong to the Mishaguji. They do look just like the stalagmites it summoned against us, don't they? Not assuming you have a bad memory, but here they are again for reference. About the Iwakiba Mountains skill in particular, it is fairly good. It hits hard, and bigger enemies may even be hit twice by it. It is however slow, somewhat finicky to aim, and even a little eccentric, I would call it, in its hitbox. Sometimes it hits when it by all means shouldn't, and sometimes it misses when you would swear it was absolutely on target. It may still be an alright move all in all, but I don't see many strategic advantages it could have in comparison to Silver Rain, and I'm generally more comfortable with that skill. Still, if you happen to have a Serpent's Fang on hand, it's definitely worth trying out for yourself, I'd say. So much for that. Now, the Geyser Field as a stage, I admit, it is a pretty fun stage. It is very humble in that it delivers on action and doesn't try to do anything too complicated beyond that. And I'm reviewing this stage now because, believe it or not, it is almost over already. So, one more important thing while we still have the time, having a spell card ready for the upcoming boss fight is going to be very helpful. For this particular boss, more than for most. I recommend you don't spend yours past the big flock of mushrooms we passed about half a minute ago. Okay, with the three of them standing right there, you can probably tell where this is leading up to. We have fought each of the mischievous fairies already, and all of them really felt more like mini-bosses. None of them were the type you would be at all likely to lose to, and looking back, their encounters seemed almost pointless. Guess what? They weren't. It was all an elaborate build-up for this showdown against all three of them at the same time. This is about to kick off, and the first thing we want to do is trigger our spell, of course. The fairies start off in a bundle, but they will quickly scatter, so this was the best chance to catch all of them at once. Well, this is quite an onslaught of bullets. You're under a lot of pressure here. All of them together, we can't underestimate these fairies anymore. Oh no. A very useful skill here is Knife Dispenser. With it, you can just blindly throw your knives roughly where most of the bullets are coming from, and you are bound to hit something. Actually spending your time to aim here can be a great mistake. This can be a very chaotic battle, but once one or more fairies are taken out, it becomes so much more manageable. Then it's almost in the bag, like it was for us. Now, to Sakuya's all high and mighty, there's no strength in numbers shtick right here, I must say I strongly disagree. This is not an easy fight. Just so you know, there are no healing vases in the arena, you can't fool around. It seems like we can squeeze a little bit more information out of our defeated foes, but oh, just our luck, now a random earthquake is happening. Well, if the plot says so. We now find ourselves in the subterranean world, more specifically, Hell. No, don't worry, Sakuya did not kick the bucket there, we simply physically entered the Hell of Blazing Fires. A forgotten hell, that due to being forgotten, is now a part of Gensokyo, like many other mythical places. The strange newcomer talking to us now has somewhat of a holographic nature to her portrait. Just to clarify, that means she is speaking to us in Sakuya's mind. She is Satori Komeiji, sovereign of the Palace of the Earth Spirits, and apparently that is something she can do. I'm not sure if telepathy is a canonically confirmed ability of hers, but if anyone can do it, I would bet it to be her. Anyways, Satori is offering to help Sakuya escape from Hell, but only under one condition: that we do some maintenance work for her. See, Hell is basically a giant furnace, and it's not working properly right now. So yes, we are doing another errand. Sakuya once again submits to her fate of servitude. Is she really such a yes man who always obliges to anyone? Remilia has been ordering us around, sure. Now for some reason Satori thinks she has that privilege, and tomorrow, I guess the next guy who just happens to raise their hand. It's just sad. Even though we'll regain control shortly, we've defeated a boss, so we are technically in a new stage. We're going to stick to our one stage per episode formula and call it a day. I'm Gacha86, this was Touhou Koukishin, and next time, the heck do I know? Oh, we will know heck. Bis bald.